Well, I've got a book that I've done called Original Intent. It's got 1,700 footnotes in it. They go back to founding documents. On the other side, there's a book done by two professors called The Godless Constitution. PhDs at Cornell. The footnote page, they said, we have dispensed with the usual scholarly apparatus of footnotes. Not a footnote in the book. I got 1,700, they got one. I mean, they got zero. So they're very blessed. We have about 100,000 documents from before 1812. This is where it's important. In every academic book, go to the back of the book and look at the footnotes. Look at the sources they have. So we go look at the sources in the back of this college textbook, and they tell us right up front, we have dispensed with the usual scholarly apparatus of footnotes. Isn't that interesting? This is revisionism, and this is how it works. Matt mentioned, we have about 100,000 documents from before 1812, so I've got thousands of the handwritten original documents. We in our company have about 100,000 documents from before 1812. So documents out of black history, out of religious history, out of Constitution, you name it, we've got 100,000 originals.
What a forger David must be, because he has more documents than anyone else on the planet except for the Library of Congress. Of documents prior to, what is it, 1812? 1812. Yeah, that's what a forger.
Yeah, well, either that or he has all the documents in which the Founding Fathers
Every quote I've used has always had a footnote to it. Because we own 100,000 documents from before 1812, I just had a lot of fun. I went over and just picked up some original documents, started bringing documents out. We've been very blessed in our organization, Wall Builders. We have about 100,000 documents that predate 1812. So I'm going to show you some of those really old documents this morning, but we've got thousands of documents of those who signed the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. Academic collectivism, this is where a bunch of folks with peer review get together and they review each other's work, and it becomes a standard for historical truth. So what happens in the academic world today, one professor quotes another professor who quotes another professor, and they keep this circular rotation. It's a little incestuous thing that goes on where they quote each other. This guy's got 4 PhDs and he's got 5 PhDs, so I'll quote him. And it doesn't, you don't go back to historical truth or historical doctrine. We're PhDs, you can trust us. We know what we're talking about. Really? I mean, we got so many original, no, we're PhDs, and none of these guys believed in God. See, that is nothing but pure revision.
You don't need to hear the scholars. You have the books. Yeah. You have their original writings. You have the largest collection of American documents and writings from 1812 and backwards.
That's because they've all been telling each other that. They all have PhDs. They've been studying each other. They don't go back to original documents, but they're really good at studying each other and quoting each other. What do they base their conclusions? These professors, what's the basis of their conclusions? Well, this is where you go to the back of the book. You go to the footnotes. See what it says here is a note on sources. See the note on sources right there? Here's the proof of why they say the Founding Fathers wanted a deliberately secular Constitution. The founders were themselves secular. Look what they tell us. They see here at the bottom, we have dispensed with the usual scholarly apparatus of footnotes. Not a single footnote in the book. But you can trust us. We're PhDs. We're professionals. We know what we're talking about. These guys were godless, and they... See, this is academic collectivism. This is the third thing that gets us, is listening to experts.
You have the largest collection in private hands of American papers and documents prior to 1800.
Prior to 1812. I'm showing you a few documents up here. There's a whole lot more. I could take you through a whole lot of the Founding Fathers, but you get the idea. On what, and these two guys who wrote this book, they're two professors, Cornell University, PhD guys. You see the picture right there. On what possible basis would they say all the founders were atheists, agnostics, deists? I mean, I've shown you some evidence. What evidence they use? Let's go to the back of the book and look at footnotes. You get the back of the book and look at footnotes, a note on sources. You see right there? Look what our two PhD professors tell us. They say, we have dispensed with the usual scholarly apparatus of footnotes. Well, isn't that convenient?
Tell what's in this book.
Well, what's in that book? It's called The Godless Constitution. It's used in universities across the nation. I speak in schools everywhere, and this is a textbook. And it goes through and says, hey, we're a secular nation. That's what's made us great for 200 years, etc.
This is a scholarly book.
Well,
no, wait.
Allegedly. That's right. That's right.
This is a
it's academics. Book. It's PhDs that did it. It's a university textbook.
Now, if you'll notice, if you've ever read anything scholarly, can we pick it up on 3 here on Oscar's camera? Okay, if you've ever read anything scholarly, like read Progressivism, the history of modern liberalism, it's a nightmare, and it's full of footnotes.
There are no footnotes.
They say at the end, their quote is, "We have dispensed with the usual scholarly apparatus of footnotes." Trust us, we're PhDs. We know what we're talking about.
Right.
None of these guys believe in God. God's been real gracious to bring stuff to our path, and we kind of made a covenant with Him that if He'd bring it across our path, we'd grab it and hold it and preserve it. And so that's what's kind of built that library. And so I'm amazed at what comes across our path, but I'm convinced that's because He wants it saved and preserved for the country.